Continuing here, listing some of the problems that are created by the money masters of misery. And I'm trying to point out the fact that the vast majority of jobs now depend on the problems persisting. And when you stumble upon that fact, that irrefutable, unequivocal fact that I can prove mathematically, statistically speaking, and that it's all a big scam, that this is all unnecessary, this is imposed, it's invented, it's artificial, it's inorganic, it is conjured up problems we're talking about here. And it's quite evident that the social, political, and economic contract has been broken with humanity. We see not only the dubious warfare industrial complex that we were warned about, almost 60 years ago now by Eisenhower, outgoing. He warned that there were elements within the military industry that understood in order to be relative and relevant, they needed problems. It's that simple. And there's no cynicism involved here. I'm just being very matter of fact here. This is the reality, okay, of the state of affairs on planet Earth today. This is the establishment. Okay, these are people, these are black hats, these are that small minority I'm talking about. But these are the most powerful ones because they don't value their soul like most people. Most people wouldn't sell their soul for all the money in the world, right? That's why I say I trust over 90% of the American people with the Federal Reserve. Even though I would totally disagree with their politics now, like Alex Jones and Matt Drudge on thinking high housing prices are somehow a sign of a good economy. Okay. While we're in national debt and we got rich dad Robert Kiyosaki saying, well, I just play off the debt. I mean, you talk about welfare recipients that are unscrupulous. Okay, that's who it is. These people don't care about what's best for the nation as a whole, getting us out of debt, lower rents, and say, no, we're going to give some money back to Section 8. You spent too much. We've fixed homelessness now, and, we're giving money back. We're done. This problem's over. We've fixed it. You understand? So your taxes are eliminated. No more your taxes going to fix Section 8. But I think anybody that's honest can understand where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to convey here. But it shakes the very core of my faith in humanity when, like I said, guys I'm beside myself. It hurts in my gut when I think that Alex Jones doesn't understand that high housing costs is not a sign of good. You want the opposite. This is one of the this is an essential human need to survive. Your very survival depends on housing. So, let's be very clear about understanding basic economic principles like supply and demand and how to define progress under free market. What inevitably happens naturally, organically happens, without the government stepping in to interfere, other than being a check and balance to make sure we have progress. That's where the oversight comes in. Progress toward what? What is the opposite of debasing your currency? First, let's ask how the currency is debased. It's debased with a higher cost of living inflation. So the opposite of that is cost of living deflation. This is going to make your money worth more. Okay? So, it's really very simple. And that's why I say, I don't believe it's intellect. I believe it's a matter of people not being able to be honest, but you've been trained. I'm not judging you. If you really figure out, I've been delusional. I've been deceived, self-deceived, if nothing else. But I've rationalized this, and it's a form of hypocrisy. And I've got to jump ship on this. And I've changed. I can't have false pride. I mean, that's the whole problem with people are at each other's throats. I mean, it's this false pride. They won't give up. They won't relent and say, well, I can be wrong too. I mean, I can be an a-hole. I mean, I shouldn't have done this and that, but at the time I thought I was pretty cool. I'm self-exalting and, self-righteousness and all that crap that's to no avail. The ego, the vanity, the conceit, all that total utter BS that's from the heart of Satan, really. But we can all fall into it. I understand. I forgive. God is slow to anger and quick to forgive. But we've just got to work, with Trump. If we're going to work with Trump, man, we've got to get it. This guy's smart, and I believe. Look, if he had his way, I do believe he's an egalitarian. He's a Christian. I believe that he's arrived at the same conclusions I have. That in order for humanity to be free, to really get along, okay, in safety and security and peace and harmony and all these good things we want to have universal freedom, we need universal freedom. We need universal prosperity. We need full prosperity. It needs to be understood this is what God wants. Okay, so we've got to work that direction. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying like we're going to have some utopia overnight, but you never say, well, it's good enough for me because, well, I believe in equality, but my judgment call is spot on. And this much inequality is okay. You understand? Once you open that can of worms, you've opened Pandora's box. You've got no more standing. Because another guy's going to come, no, I think it should be over here. Do you understand? And then it just goes on and on. That's what we get. It's just muck and mire, bloodied, muddied waters that we're all living in, trying to figure out our way out. It's a confusion. We're in Babylon. We're in ignorance. And so much of it is willful ignorance. And we rationalize and we're hypocrites within our own thinking because our belief systems are being threatened. So our own real or perceived self-interest, we see them at stake if we abandon our former beliefs and we say, no, you know what, I'm going to believe a different way now. I'm going to believe that the best way is through whatever the opposite of currency debasement is. Okay, I don't know that there's a term. Abasement seems like it'd be a proper term, but that is not the proper term. Abase is like it's not a good thing. So that's definitely not the term. Although I think it ought to be. Maybe we had to change it or add it as another option for the definition, something like that. But whatever it is, that's what you want, your currency to go up in worth. That's a way out, gradually. You say, well, where do we stop? Because, you can see, the end from the beginning, and you figure out that, well, eventually your currency would be worth so much that nobody cares about it anymore, that you're able to get everything very cheaply, very low burden, let's say. Well, yes, that's what you're after. If the system's not going to break down, and I strongly contend with every fiber of my being, I'd bet my life on it, the system won't break down. My life. There you go. Prove me wrong. You can't. You cannot show me a time in history when humanity was allowed an appreciable amount of time to be free. Okay, that's it, because it all comes down to freedom. Prosperity equals freedom. If everybody's prosperous, if everybody was born with a silver spoon in their mouth, everybody was born free. And these evildoers have no hold over us. Do you understand how that would work? It's not hard. Even a child can understand what I'm talking about. If money is the means by which we're enslaved, then money is the means that we can free ourselves from our enslavement. You understand? We've got to be free from the shackles of the money masters of misery. We've got to get off the junk. But all the problems are manyfold. I mean, the high crime rate, this is what induces the vast majority of crime. It's desperate poverty. If you just ended desperate poverty, I'm not even saying end all poverty. Okay, I'm just saying because poverty can be a state of mind. I mean, if somebody's down in the dumps, let's say they don't have their health. How many times have we heard it said that health is wealth? So that you could have $10 billion and be able to do anything you want at any time, get anything you want at any time. But if you don't have your health, you're feeling poor. You're down in the dumps. You're poor in the spirits, whatever. It doesn't feel good, so you're poor. So it could be a state of mind. So you're still going to have poverty. But I'm just saying, look, if you ended it and you crime, I mean, we get people going to jail for these stupid crimes of money. I mean, it makes me sick to my stomach. I just saw Forensic Files last night. This abortion doctor in, what the hell state was it? I guess it really doesn't matter what state it was, but it seems like I ought to remember. Nevertheless, I don't. Maybe it was Michigan. Whatever. But anyhow, this guy, and he had a trophy wife, and nothing could be better. But he was a gynecologist, obstetrician, I guess, abortion doctor, and these people never had enough money. Of course, they lived the life of Riley, but he had to give money to one of his a child from his ex-marriage. and his wife, he was doing it on the lowdown, the down low, and his wife got wind of it and went off on him and made sure he never did it again. And his wife found out that he was seeing a stripper, and so she made him write her a note, condemning her and all this. So anyhow, what really set this woman off, I mean, this dude killed his wife, and long story short. But, it's all about money. Every evil in the world has money involved. Even somehow this church shooter in Vegas. The shooter in Vegas and the church shooter in Sutherland, Texas. Okay, it's all the same crap. I mean, it's the people that are running the show that are manipulating things and making sure we have problems, trying to steer us in the direction they want us to go. More division. They want us to perceive somebody as an enemy. They'd like another civil war. Okay, this Antifa that George Soros has created, he's got all these other groups that work in conjunction and toward these common goals of communism and the socialism and all this stuff. And you know what? I mean, I could almost see where I could take their side. I mean, I know plenty of well-intentioned people that would take the side of all these organizations, and George Soros included, the liberal agenda, the socialist agenda, believing they're the good guys, they're the egalitarians, they're the blue-collar working class people, the Che Guevarans and Castro people, right? That this is what they believe. They believe that that old what's-his-name in Cuba before him, the Batista, that he was an a-hole imperialist, capitalist, pig. I mean, and if people are ignorant and, willful or not, they equate what is this pseudo-capitalism I call crapitalism, which is crony capitalism, which is fascism, which is designed to create communism. I mean, if people could just see just how diabolical these people are. That's their religion at the top. They know what they're doing, this division. They want civil war to break, and it really is. It already is. I mean, they're killing Christians en masse. Massacres of Christians are happening in churches. People can't feel safe to go to their local church because some nutbag that's been induced or been propagandized with this MK Ultra, these mental baskets that they allow to escape from mental institutions. And then the military service isn't doing their job to make sure that these people don't own weapons as much as possible. And if the guy had to use a knife, it'd be different, right? Or a car. But blaming guns is not right. We got these idiots want to talk. Oh, now let's talk about gun control. You know what, you idiots? Let's talk about car control, okay? What happened in Manhattan, okay? We're not hearing about, hey, we got to ban Chevys or Fords, whatever the hell kind of truck it was, that the Home Depot truck. Hey, well, guys that drive those kind of trucks must be bad. So guys that choose those kind of weapons must be bad. I mean, that's not the way it works. There's a damn good reason why we have a Second Amendment. Our forefathers were not stupid people. Okay? They knew in order to prevent something like what China has, barbaric, backwards, brutal country, authoritarian, statist, totalitarian. We don't want that, man. 5,000 executions a year, mobile organ harvesting vehicles, women being forced to have abortions. That's the opposite of what Americans want. Okay, and you think they have Second Amendment rights in China? Oh my God, they don't even have free speech rights in China. Jesus, help them. But you see, I get into kind of a tizzy. I get a little wound up thinking about this stuff. But, being as shrewd as serpents, and I'm not going to try to understand the mind of these people. But, I have to get into their head to some degree. Like Jesus said, be as shrewd as serpents, innocent as doves. Got to get into their head so you're not taken, you're not duped. They don't keep you ignorant. They don't keep you in the dark. Okay? They don't keep you confused. You can swim over here to where the water's nice and clear. And you understand that this is the power of the devil himself, Satan. The power of darkness is in play here, and it's fighting for its existence. It's an existential fight to the finish. And it's not because God has called the shots here. The evil has, but God is just putting his foot down. He's saying, look, my way or the highway. It's going to get really hot in the kitchen. And you're going to have to come out of you're going to be exposed more and more, like the weeds growing up and maturing. You're either on the side of good and right and justice and mercy and all good things for all humanity, or you're not. And if you're not on the side of God and good and all humanity, then you're going here. And there you are. You're a weed, and I've identified you, and I'm going to pull you out of my garden. That's what God is saying. And he's going to use these harvesters of the souls of men, these things called angels, to do the job. And it's all going to happen on his timeline, not mine, yours, or anybody else's. Jesus said he doesn't even know when it's going to happen exactly. He knew about when God was going to have enough and getting ready to put his foot down, when that cup of his righteous indignation would start over.